G'day everybody, welcome to the Money Mindset Show. My name is Tony Aquino. I'm your host today, and we're in part 2 of the how to pay your mortgage off.
Yes.
We'll talk about your mortgage. Now this episode's going to be, it's a bit deeper.
A little bit more complex than part 1.
Yeah. So get your hats on.
Get your notepads ready.
Shoelaces tied, because you're going to be, otherwise your shoes are going to be flying off.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how to pay down your mortgage first.
I think just a quick recap of part 1.
Sure.
We looked at the spreadsheet. There were major parts of the episode. 1, interest and principal are the 2 payments you make towards a mortgage.
Yep.
The interest is what the bank's profit is. That's nothing about paying down your mortgage.
Yep.
That is the bank's profit.
Yep.
Principal is the actual payment that is going to pay your mortgage down.
Yep, that's chipping away at the amount that you borrowed originally.
Interest is calculated daily.
Yes, you got it.
And also, we also need to do some quick strategies around changing it to fortnightly or weekly.
Yep.
And how that works, and that can take your mortgage down by 5 years. But this episode is how do we, after doing the fortnightly change or the weekly change to your mortgage, which we spoke about in part 1, on top of that, how do we pay down our mortgage even faster?
Yep.
That's this episode.
Yep, definitely. Yep. So, before I touch on how to pay it down, we first have to understand. I have got written down there the fractional reserve system. You might, when we start talking about offsets and redraws, you might start saying, why would the bank do that? Why would they
offer a product like that?
Yeah, why would they offer a product that hinders them making interest off you?
Yes.
Okay. So, quickly explain what fractional reserve banking is. And this is worldwide. This is not some secret, okay? The fractional reserve system is a bank takes your money, and whatever they have, they can loan against your money in the bank 10 times. The fraction is 10%, okay? If I have $100,000 in the bank, that kind of sits on their balance sheet, they can borrow out $1 million. Because they are only holding that $100,000 is the 10% fraction or the percentage against the $1 million, okay? It's only 10%. So they only physically have to hold 10% in cash. The rest can be lent out, okay?
It makes sense because when you purchase your house for $500,000, they're not giving you $500,000 cash.
Yeah, they're not giving George from, Better Pets and Gardens, he's got an account with $100,000 in it, and then and then there's Mary down the road, and then there's you, and then there's me. They're not lending all those different hundreds of thousands of dollars from different people to me.
No.
That's how money is created.
Yes.
You need to read the book, The Creature of Jekyll Island. I'm going to leave it in the link below, and you can just listen to it on an audiobook even or something. I love audiobooks because I'm busy. But it goes back into the 1900s on when that system was created. There's all the Rothschilds and Rockefeller and all that. They all come together and they came up with this system.
Yes.
And it's based and I'm making it sound like derogatory. It's actually good in a way.
Yes.
Because that's how growth occurs.
That's how you build wealth.
Yeah. Okay. So, but the gist of it is if you've got money in the bank, the bank can lend out 10 times whatever they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that kind of flows into an offset and a redraw.
Yeah.
Where you put money into it.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people would have heard the term offset and redraw. We're going to break it down very basic so that people understand what it actually is and what it's doing. An offset or a redraw is an account. A redraw is an account of the mortgage. An offset is a separate account that's linked to the mortgage. Okay. But essentially, whatever money you put in that account, it's going to come off of the opening balance before the interest is calculated.
Okay.
So if I have a $500,000 loan, like in this example, and I have $100,000 in my offset, they can only charge interest on $400,000.
Yes.
And that's how we're not using our $100,000 and paying it off the principal.
No.
We're just sitting it in the account.
Yes.
Okay? And that's available to you at any time.
So So from an offset and redraw, you can withdraw
Yes.
money, but there might be fees attached to withdrawing. I think
Yes.
some of the banks, they don't like you using it as a
An
savings
everyday,
account, right?
everyday saving account.
And
But-
so what they do is they put fees attached to it so that when you put money in there, you don't then take it back out.
yeah. So an offset typically has a monthly fee. I think it's like ours is, we've got like it's $8 or $9 a month
Yes, it
fee.
is, yeah.
And that's like a card, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Graham Home doesn't like offset accounts because he said people are impulsive. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you have $100,000 in there, you're going to spend it because it's there. It's on a card.
And it's on
okay?
a card, yeah.
He likes redraw rather because if you have to physically transfer the money out of
Into
that
a different
mortgage
account.
into a spendable account, you're
Yes.
less likely to pull it out because you're questioning your...
Well, you feel guilty taking it out.
That's right, because then you can see like, oh, there was 100 in there,
Yes.
and now my interest has gone right down, and I'm getting ahead, and then you start second questioning yourself on like, oh no, I'm not gonna pull that out. I'm not gonna buy that jet ski or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if
So,
it's
so it depends on what kind of a person you are, which one you take. If you're very diligent with your numbers and you are very strict with yourself, then an offset is fine.
yeah,
For someone who is more impulsive and likes to spend money that they have, a redraw is probably better.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
everyone has to determine which one they want to
Yeah.
use. Yeah.
And before we get into how this actually works for you and how we're going to get our mortgage down to half without actually paying any extra payments, because everyone online, this poos me, shits me off, eh? Oh, pay double the payments and your mortgage will come down in half the
thank you.
time.
I would like to spend my money on something else.
No shit, it's going to come down half the time.
Of course.
That's like saying, oh, cook your steak for double the time, it'll be well done. It's like, duh.
Yeah,
Of course
exactly.
it is.
I know.
You know what I mean? So, sorry, that's my little rant over.
That's okay.
The other thing I want to touch about before we go into the spreadsheet, because there's a few more columns here, I want to go into cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Robert Kiyosaki is big on cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And also Graham Home says it, cash is trash, cash flow is king, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he says cash flow is king, but yeah, someone said it.
Yeah. One of them said
I
it.
didn't make it up. Cash flow is king. No, but we're talking about our wage, right? We're talking about our wage. So most people get their wage, they spend it, whatever's left, they pay the mortgage with, okay?
Yes.
We're not going to do that, okay? So the way that, you got to remember that interest is calculated daily, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to put our whole wage in our offset, okay?
Okay.
So think about it. So if you have, I've got this example here. Actually, I might just go into this.
Go for it.
This might be a
Go
bit
for it.
more, if we're trying to explain it with visuals, might be better. Okay, so I've still got this principal and interest
Mm-hmm.
loan. Okay, I'm going to turn this, I call this the little cash flow column.
Mm-hmm.
Now what you've noticed here is these columns have turned on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the cash flow column is what we're getting paid. So this is our wages
So I
per
get
month.
$8,000 paid to me a month from my employer.
Yeah, so this might be a couple as an example.
Yeah,
Let's say
okay.
like maybe, we both,
For the household, our cash flow in each month is $8,000.
yeah, that's our cash flow, right?
Okay.
And our expenses are $6,800, okay? And
Bills, shopping.
yep,
Going in.
and also your monthly minimum repayment has to be in with this.
Okay, so that also includes my $3,000
So
that I need to
yes,
pay.
so before you think that you're not spending $6,800, you're like, yeah, we're creaming it. Well, you've got to add this minimum repayment on.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So, and this is where the goal setting comes in, okay? So you can basically choose how quickly you want to pay your mortgage off.
Yes.
Because if you subscribe to minimum repayments and refinancing, you're either going to never pay it off, or if you don't refinance, you're subscribing to a 30-year loan. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but I'm not subscribing to that.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, so the way that this works is the cash flow column is changing the relationship between principal and interest, and whatever's left over from our income versus expenses. Every month, we're going to save $1,200,
Yeah.
and we're going to put that $1,200 savings
In our offset.
in our offset. Or actually, what's really going to happen is the $8,000 is going to go into the offset, and only $6,800 is coming out.
Yes.
So you're going to be left with a surplus of $1,200.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then next month it repeats. You're going to get another fresh pay, another $8,000 in.
Yes.
You're going to left with a surplus of another $1,200, and this is what your offset's going to start looking like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every month it's going to go up $1,200.
Yeah.
Now that's quite an aggressive amount of money.
It is.
But we're talking about goal setting. Okay. This is not like, like, oh, but he said this and that. Like, I'm trying to show you guys to set your own goals.
Yes.
If you have a goal of 10 years, put it in the calculator. Okay. If it doesn't work, you have to trim your goal, or you have to cut back on your expenses.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the gist of it, okay?
Yeah. And the more aggressive you are with the goal...
No water left in there.
The more aggressive you are with the goal, the faster you'll pay your mortgage off.
Of course. But it also depends on you. Like, we've got to ask ourselves, why do we want to pay it off? And that's going to be in part 3, okay? It's going to be in part 3, but... yeah, a lot of people have been told to like just pay down your mortgage and live broke, and like we're in 2024. We're not doing that.
No.
You know what I mean? It's expensive enough as it is.
Yes.
I'm not spending every single last dollar.
Putting it into my mortgage.
Yeah, and the thing is, you are putting it into your mortgage, but you're not paying it to the bank where it just dissipates and disappears.
Well, this is what
the
it is.
psychology.
You're essentially paying it to the mortgage. But if there was an emergency and I needed the $1,200 for a vet bill or a medical bill or something, I still have the money there that I can redraw.
Yeah.
I can take it out. If I don't have an offset and I don't have a redraw account, and I just decide, I've got $1,200 left, I'll just put it in my mortgage, that money's gone.
Yeah, you pay it to the bank. Yes, it'll come off the opening balance.
Of course it will.
But then your $1,200 is gone.
You've got nothing there
Yeah.
to take out anymore.
Yep, so the way that this works, and I'm going to toggle this back to off for a minute so you can remember what the numbers were, okay? So the original way that the mortgage worked over a 30-year period was the interest on the first month was $2,502 and the principal was $497. Okay? If we turn this to on and we're putting $8,000 in our mortgage,
Yes.
look at the difference here. We're going from whatever that was, 25 something, then we're going to 24.62 and then 5.37 to the principal.
Yes.
Okay? This is not paying any extra money.
No.
This is literally just putting your wage in and then
Yep.
letting it come out again.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
And this is where a budget is appropriate, because it's very easy to get carried away when your mortgage starts looking after, 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Oh, it's 6,800, 7,000, 10,000, 20,000. You get carried away and you think you've got more money than you do. And that is your money, but it's easy to spend it if you're not diligent.
But it's there for a purpose.
That's right. It's
and the money there that you're putting in there is not to spend. The money you're putting there is the purpose of paying your mortgage down faster.
You got to think of it as an investment account, just like if you were to invest money in like I don't know, ETFs and stuff. Like if you were to put $100 in, you're going to get a return on your money. Okay, but if you take that $100 out, you're not going to get that return anymore. It's the same thing here. Okay, but and this is the return you're making is 6%.
And also, just as a quick thing, I said before, the offset and redraw, if something happens, an emergency happens, and you need the cash and you need to pay something.
Yeah, use it. Definitely
Life
use it.
happens, and there may be a time where you have to dip into the offset or the redraw. But just know that when you do dip into the offset and the redraw, your opening balance and the interest calculated daily is going to change.
Yep.
It will increase. But life happens.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so what we're doing here is basically we're investing every single dollar we earn, and we're earning 6% interest on it. Okay?
Yeah.
And that 6% is reflected in the principal payment. So...
Because essentially the strategy is that you want your principal to be as high as you possibly can get it, the principal payment.
We're trying to change the relationship between principal and interest without paying any money to the bank.
And I don't want to pay more than $3,000 a month minimum payment. I want to pay $3,000 a month. But how do I do it? How do I do it smart enough that I can bring my mortgage down faster but not pay any extra? And an offset and a redraw is going to do that.
Yep. Another good way to think about it is, you've got that money sitting in your offset. So that's like what's actually changing the relationship. The other way to think of it is you're kind of stealing a little bit of the bank's profit and putting it into your principal.
Yes.
Stealing a little bit of the bank's profit, putting it in your principal. So you're just shifting that balance. Okay. Now let's go down.
Just as a interest point, I would love to know when people do go and get a mortgage, how freely banks will offer an offset or redraw. I guarantee they probably wouldn't offer it straight off the bat. But if you know that every mortgage can have an offset and a redraw against it.
Yeah.
Unless you're in some sort of a special agreement. But yeah.
Yep.
I'd be really interested to see how freely they offer that.
Yeah,
when someone
definitely.
gets a mortgage.
All right, so let's go down. We haven't gone down yet. So we're saving $1,200 a month, $300 a week. It's quite an aggressive save, but this is our goal. Okay. We're going to go down. Look at this bar here. Look at how rapidly this is changing. So like, in the first example,
in part one,
we were talking about 18
and a half
years.
Yes.
Now we're sort of around, what are we here? 7 years, 6 months. So at the 7.5 year mark, we've overtaken the bank's profits, basically. So it's taken 7.
So we've gone from 18 and a half years of just doing what the bank's strategy is, traditional strategy, to doing this strategy where you use your offset as your main account that your funds come through, your cash flow.
Yeah.
You have gone from 18 and a half years.
Yeah, we're going
to pay your essentially your loan off to 7.5.
Yeah, no, we're not at 7.5. That's when we're gonna start overtaking the bank's
but you're
profits.
paying more principal.
Yeah, that at 7.5 years, you're paying more principal than the bank's making on interest. Okay,
that's right.
So that's the first biggest thing compared to 18.5 years in the previous example. Okay, in part 1, and we're gonna get here, and here we go. Look, 15-year mark, $0.
Yeah.
$0. Now, I'm going to show you guys where the 500's gone because these columns are slightly different in this example. Okay, you remember in the previous column we borrowed 500,000. So we're going to look down here. So now we have to pay attention to some of the money's over here now. Okay.
Yeah.
So
in our offset,
when there's $0 left, we have about we've got $216,000 in our offset over a 15-year period. Okay.
Yeah.
The other amount missing is, if you plus those two together, that's your 500. Okay, so 216 plus 280. It's roughly. It's never going to be exactly, but because it keeps adding in the offset column, but that's your combined total. Okay.
Yes.
Now look at the difference in this column.
I know.
The interest is only 250. In the previous example, it was 580,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you've saved, what is that, $280,000 in interest, Just
by choosing where the money goes to.
Exactly. You're literally just putting the money...
we're not paying any more.
No, you're literally putting all your wage in that offset. And remember, it's calculated daily. That's the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing. So like every day that sits in there, it saves you interest. You're changing that relationship between principal and interest.
So what I did as a strategy because obviously when this is coming to you, we've actually already implemented the strategy and seen that it actually works. We're not going to say something or tell you information when we haven't tried it ourselves. But what I did is I get paid monthly from my employer. So I changed where my pay went. And I have an amount that goes from my pay goes straight into the offset every single month. I don't have to worry about it. It goes straight in there every single month. There is a payment that goes in there. You can easily do that.
Yeah. Just to recap, because I think a lot of people might be thinking, yeah, but I have to pay my bills and stuff.
Yes.
And we did touch on that to start with the expenses.
Yeah.
But some people might have missed it. So what you're doing is you're putting all your money in your mortgage. Every single cent you've got. This is your
everything.
Don't have 10 different savings accounts. No. Don't have put your kids' money in here because it's earning 6%. I'd challenge you to find a kid's bank account that offers 6% savings rate.
Yeah.
And savings rate and interest rate is two different things because if you're earning interest, you're essentially paying tax on
Yes.
that interest. If you're
Yeah.
saving interest, you're not paying tax.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this is essentially, this 6%, this is essentially your like after-tax dollars, you know.
Yes.
If you were to
This is
say
what
that,
you're getting paid.
if you were to
after
say
all
that that was a savings rate, it would be something more like 8 or 9.
Yes.
If you were to take the tax back off of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be a bit complicated, but we'll just leave it at that. I challenge anyone to like, you know, just try and find a rate of 6% on a savings. It's not, they don't exist.
Yeah.
Now, the other one thing we haven't touched on, and this is not for everyone, this is quite a tricky subject because a lot of people are not diligent, and we're not trying to be offensive here, but there's one more strategy that's part of this, and it might not make a huge deal to start with, but a lot of people were thinking, I put my wage in here,
Your $8,000.
your $8,000, or your couple's wage, whatever this figure may be for you.
Yeah.
You're putting your money in here and you're thinking all the bills come out of it. So there's not really $8,000 sitting in there for a 30-day period. Okay. Now this is where the dreaded word credit card comes in to play. And this is the mindset channel here. This is what like got us fired up about this, because when we first heard this, like we're both like from saver backgrounds, like big, like, you know,
We didn't have a credit card until after we got married.
we had to get one to go to America when we went on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And we were like pooing ourselves. We were like, holy
We
shit.
hated everything about a credit card.
Yeah.
And some people do hate everything about a credit card. But you have to know how to work a credit card to be able to use a credit card and enjoy a credit card.
Yeah. So, the way the credit card works is, and this took you a while to get your head around it.
did.
I got my head around it and started doing it instantly because I was like excited. I was like, holy shit, we've been using credit cards wrong the whole time. But
It took me a long time.
But you have to know your numbers, because a lot of people get lazy, they get slack, they get impulsive with credit cards. They've got a $15,000 limit. That's $15,000 you don't actually have.
Yeah.
But at the end of the month, you have to pay it back. Whatever you've spent on it, you have to pay it back out of your offset.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing, okay? So, like, whatever bills and stuff you're paying, that's the original strategy still here, you know? Whatever bills and stuff you have, you're paying back out of your offset. If the bill comes in, pay it out of the offset.
Yeah.
Put all the money in the offset and pay everything, bills, groceries.
Get it all out of your offset.
Pay it out of the offset, or the redraw, okay?
And whatever you're remaining is your saving amount.
That's your saving amount, okay? Now, the credit card strategy, it's a notch up, okay? But you have to be very diligent.
Yes.
So what's happening is we're putting $8,000 in, in this example.
Yeah.
We're putting $8,000 in, and instead of buying our coffee, our groceries, our this, our that, we are spending everything. Everything we would spend and purchase, we're purchasing it with a credit card.
Yes.
Okay, so that money sitting in our mortgage is still sitting in there for
The
30 days.
$8,000,
It's saving every single day. It's saving the money,
Yes.
and it's changing that relationship. There's not a missed day where it doesn't save.
The theory behind it is that you want the most amount of money sitting in your offset for the longest period of time. The credit card gives you the relief of leaving the money in there for the longest period of time.
Yep.
The only thing with credit cards, though, that I have to say is that obviously when you're paying bills and stuff, some people might pay bills with credit cards. There are charges that come with credit cards and bills, and obviously
and we don't do that. We actually work the numbers out, and that's why. And you're going to have to do this yourself, because I'm not doing that for you.
No.
But work out you got to work out. Okay, if I have a $500 bill or a $1,000 bill, you know, the amount of money that it's saving me in interest, does it outweigh the surcharge?
Yes.
Okay, if it doesn't, don't do it.
Yes.
Spend the bill out of the offset.
Yeah.
If there's some bills are like, I don't care, credit card, no charge, bang, straight on the credit card.
Straight on
Not
there.
even a thought. Okay? But it depends on how much cash flow you have.
Yes.
Because if you've got a small amount of cash flow, maybe this example of $8,000
Is a bit.
it's not enough to use a credit card strategy, I wouldn't have thought.
No.
Because essentially all you're doing is every you're putting $8,000 in, and then you're spending that. You're putting it in. You're spending it. You're putting it in, or you're paying for it. Okay, so you're really just getting $8,000 off of the opening balance.
Yes.
Total. So, you know what I mean? Like, you're only getting $8,000 ahead. Not every month, but just $8,000 total, because every month the $8,000 disappears on bills and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, not all of it, but yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you've got a cash flow of, like, you've got a bit of a business, or you've got like $20, $30, $40, $50,000 of cash flow a month, it can make a huge difference.
Or if you have been an extremely great saver for many, many years, and you have a savings account with over $100,000 in there, which some people actually do, don't leave your $100,000 sitting in a savings account. Put it in your offset.
Yeah.
You haven't lost the money. The money will still be there for you to redraw, for you to draw out, pay bills with, spend.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can put every piece of savings into an offset and be diligent enough to use a credit card strategy, you are laughing.
Yeah, you're laughing. All right, I think we're going to leave it.
Yeah.
We're going to leave it at that for part 2. That was a lot to digest. I'm going to do a real quick recap.
Yes.
Just so we remember what was going on. Mm-hmm. The only real thing with this is cash flow is paying your mortgage off.
Yes.
And offset redraw is whatever was left between your income and expenses.
Yes.
And that's really what's smashing the mortgage down.
Yeah. It's what's left over after everything.
The cash flow does help.
Yes.
But the offset redraw is where it really smashes it. Okay, and that's where you need to come up with your own goals, and you need to, you can come up with a crazy goal of like 5 years, but you have to put it in the calculator.
Yeah.
You could change. Yeah. You could change. I'm going to quickly show them. Let's just say you had a crazy goal of, I don't know. Let's just say I wanted to go like, let's do. Our expenses are only $5,000, so we're going to save $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
You can put that in here. You can scroll down and say, oh, look, 9 years.
Yeah.
You can make your own goals. That's what's so good about this tool.
And it doesn't have to be 3,000 or 1,200. Like, even if you're just starting out and you want to put $500 in there,
if you want to put.
If you're gonna save $500 after.
Let's do a quick couple examples. That might be.
Yeah. So how about our expenses? We're a bit high on expenses. Say 7,500 expenses.
What's that going to leave us?
We're saving $500.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're gonna only that's a pretty achievable.
That's pretty achievable.
What's that? $125 a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
let's see.
If we're saving 500,
you're still going to get it down to around about 20.5 years.
Yeah.
And this is not even. This is on a monthly example. Yeah. If you change that to fortnightly, like we spoke
and weekly,
you know what I mean? You start seeing how this starts to unfold. And that's why I was saying this is why this tool's important to set your own goals.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah. Because it really shows you and gives you a goal. And this is called the Money Mindset Show.
Yes.
And it is about mindset.
It is.
I found a lot of money stuff is actually just pushing numbers around on a screen.
It is.
And it's really finding money from places and pulling it. And
yes.
Yeah.
And you have to, I think you have to understand your own financial situation as well. You also have to be honest with yourself, because I'm very diligent with my money. I'm not really an impulse spender. I know people who are. And you have to be honest with yourself. And when you do your budgeting and you do your goal setting, be realistic.
Yeah, don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie to yourself. I mean, there are people that I know that spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars of Uber Eats every month. If you want to continue having hundreds of dollars of Uber Eats, that's fine.
Yeah, if that's what you enjoy, put it in your budget, and then if it doesn't align with your goals, trim your goals or trim your Uber Eats.
Yes. I think that's the key thing here is you don't need to suffer or live a very boring life to do this. You just have to decide, what are you taking out? What are you putting in? And hopefully you are able to increase how much you put into your offset every month.
Yep. Or even try and get a wage increase. That's another thing. Like, we're talking about cutting expenses, but the other column is get a pay rise.
Earn more money.
Get a side. I hate that word, side hustle, but get something else on the on the side. It is a side hustle,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Oh,
But
yeah.
do
I
something
mean-
else. Maybe you do like I do photography as a hobby.
Yes.
You know, if I sell some landscape pictures, like there's another $1,000 bucks.
Absolutely.
Just whack it in the offset,
Yeah, exactly.
or spend it on dinner, whatever you like. Doesn't really
Whatever.
matter, but
Yeah.
I think that
I
wraps
think,
it up.
I think this part too was really good. It was a good flow on from how the mortgage works and how you're going to be able to pay it down without any additional payments. But I do highly recommend everyone, regardless if you want to do this strategy or not, change your mortgage to fortnightly or weekly.
Yeah.
And continue to pay the minimum repayment. Don't take their advice on the new payment.
Yeah, just divide the monthly by whatever.
Divide
2
it
or
by
4.
the 4 or 2.
Yep.
And you continue to pay that, and you will see that you will pay your mortgage down faster that way.
Yep.
So
Yep, definitely. Well said. Well wrapped up.
Yeah.
Well, let's get hooked into part 3. Hey?
Yeah.
This is the Money Mindset Show. I'm Tony. I'll see you on part 3.